Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to another coffee table book video. So today we're going to continue working on our games page because it's a double spread and there's just a lot to do. So I am going to show you a few of the things that I did. So I used the, stick glue. I used stick glue to glue down the cards. I've split all of the cards in half. I showed you last week how to kind of split them in half so that they're not as thick. Plus then you have a nice kind of raw paper side to glue with, which works really well. And then you're just going to go in and cut them out. And let's say this one, because it's awfully large and you don't want it that large, then just cut it down to whatever size you want, or even whatever shape that you want. But, you know, you could even punch them out in circles, or you could cut them on an angle, you know, make them kind of wavy sides, just for the fun of it. Because this is really is kind of quite bland. So, like, you know, what if we just gave it a little bit of interest by just doing this? And let's do the top and leave the other two sides. Like that. That's kind of neat. And if I want later on, I might go in and do the other two sides. I think I'm going to do it right now because it bothers me. Sometimes I like that asymmetrical look and sometimes I don't. And this morning it was not sitting well with me. So just go ahead and make them a little interesting. Just another bit of interest in your book. So there we go. Now we have a writing card. And I glued them onto paper that could be written on. And also to make them just a little thicker to write on. And I lined the paper. So now this one, I could have cut it from the other side if I had flipped it over and made it go parallel with the lines. Because obviously it was on the paper a touch crooked, or my lines were crooked on the paper because I put them there. But it doesn't matter. Nothing needs to be perfect. And seriously, I do think things that are just a little off, they do really give you interest. So, and then you can decide, do you want to do something like, this is so white, I really think I would like to color the edges. I'm going to use permanent ink just because I'm going to have this last for a really long time. And so I want to make sure it's not coming up on people's hands or something. But the thing is, you don't need permanent ink. Acrylic paint is permanent also. You can just put a little bit of acrylic paint down on, just put it just like right on a plastic container lid. And then just take your, maybe put just a drip of water if it's a little thick. Take your sponge, pat it up and down until you get the paint on there. Pat it off a little bit so that your paint's not globby on the edge of your sponge. And then go ahead and add your papers. And so you don't need to have permanent ink to do this. I used to use the Distress inks quite often. And but they're water reactive, so I was always kind of afraid that they would wind up like if people's hands were wet, that maybe that would come off on their hands, or maybe it would spread around in the book if the book got damp or something. So I kind of went to using acrylic paint. And now, because I got a bunch of these ink pads on clearance, a really, really good clearance, so I picked up a bunch of different colors, and that's why I'm using the permanent ink. So, but there's nothing wrong with any of the different inks. Just have some sponges, any kind of sponges. And there we go. Now that's good enough for now. I might want to stencil on that even. That's the whole point. You can go as far as you want. But you just go through and cut them out, and then don't throw your paper away. Keep that. And you can even do them this way so that when the people turn it over, they'll write on it this way. So you don't have to waste any of that paper thinking that's not tall enough to be a tag. Make a long tag going this way. So those are going to be the tags that are going in our book, and that's kind of how I'm going to do it. Probably do a little stenciling or something on there, but then again, maybe not. Set those aside. So I did some on all different color papers. And I did some pink because I wanted lighter color. So I have my red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple that I'm putting in here. And I just chose cards that I thought kind of went well with the color of the background. So, and then these are the papers that I did myself. Now, some of them, if you get them too wet, they get really smudgy, which, again, to me, that's kind of interest. I'll probably pick that spot when I do a card to get that spot because I'll want it. You know, you can get them fairly, like, you know, plain. I didn't like the plain ones as well. I'm going to show you really quickly. We just did this a couple weeks ago. I think it was on Build Your Stash. I needed to make some papers, and but just in case you didn't see that, I'm going to show you really quick how to do that. You're just going to use a piece of plastic. This is a it's a file insert. It's got the 3 holes right there, and you can put stuff inside. I drew some lines. These are the same lines I used to make our lines in our sign-in part of the book. And then you're just going to, let's see, what color paper do I have here? It doesn't really matter, but let's do this purple one. So you're just going to, and you don't have to do these lines straight. You could do wavy lines if you want to. Let's do that. But I'm going to kind of do them on the line that is here, just so that they're still kind of straight or spaced a bit evenly on my paper when I do this. But so this is how I make watercolor paper. We're actually going to do just a little quick touch of that in the book when we're done here. And I'm going to just do half of my paper. I can always go in and do the other half later. So just to make it faster, but you know, just put as many lines as you want. Just a quick spritz of water. This is just water. You just want to get it wet. If there's big dots of water, you can take a piece of paper towel and just touch it to soak it up. It's got green paint on it. A little bit, but don't smudge your lines. And then I'm just going to line this up. Give it a press. And now we have squiggly line, orange line paper, because obviously I didn't wipe it off after I used it last time, but that's okay. So we have straight orange lines and squiggly purple lines, and that will be fun to put on the back of a card. That would have been cute on the back of the card that I just cut wavy. So, and then if it is too wet, like I said, it might smudge a little bit, but if your paper's really wet and your ink looks wet, I just take a piece of paper towel. So I'll grab one. I just take a piece of paper towel after I pick it up and just go like that. And that way I can just throw them off to the side on top of each other, and I'm not going to smear them around. So that's how you make your own lined paper. I did want to just quickly show those of you that don't know. Okay, and so where's our book? It's here somewhere. I set it aside. Okay, so here's our book. So working on the first spread, I did a collage on paper. I didn't do it in the book. I did it on paper, and then I went ahead and put it in my heavy atlas book and let it sit for the week. Well, not for the week, but for however long. Okay, so here it is. This is my spread. I really, really like the way it turned out. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, dang, I really don't think I want to cover it up, like with a bunch of pockets. Now I could have, would have, maybe done a much larger background with larger pieces and used these smaller pieces to make the pockets on top, which I could still do, but that's getting really busy. And this is nice and heavy. And like I said, I just put it on regular paper just to make sure it was the way I liked it. But I think what I'm going to do, and I even made the 2 pages where they come together. I made a couple of the pieces go across the 2 pages so that they kind of lined up. But I think what I want to do is I'm going to make the pockets out of this and the book. So that's what we're going to do now. So to do watercolor paper, you take a piece of plastic, and I have a bigger piece here because this way it will cover my whole page. That other one is about the size of a regular piece of paper, and this paper is a little larger. So I am just going to, this is watercolor marker. Remember, it has to be watercolor. And what that means is this is a kid's watercolor marker. And they may not say watercolor. What do they say? They just say markers. The one thing that you can look at is if they say that they're washable. Washable right there. Because that means that if you get them wet, you can wipe them off. Okay, so we've got some purple, and I want some blue. I like to use 2 colors. It just gives it a little bit of depth. You can use as many as you want to, actually, but I really like 2. So I'm just going to put that on there. Okay, and then we're going to spritz this with water. I'm going to move the book for a second. I don't want to spritz on top of my page. I'm just going to... And that one we're going to get a bit of water on, and I only grabbed 1 piece of plastic. I need 2. I'm back. Here's another one. So I'm just going to put this on here, and then we're just going to rub it around. And these are just plastic folders that I have. They snap at the top, and you can put stuff inside on one side, and the other side is open. You can slide stuff down in. So there, we just mix that all together. Lift it off, and we are going, it looks like all of this really moved over to that side, so I'm going to kind of move it back a little bit. There. Set that one down, open up my book, and then I'm just going to take this and smush it on there. I'm going to get right down in that crease, hopefully. There we go. And then I'm going to put this over here. I used too much water, way too much water. I don't know why I spritzed it that much. You only need to spritz it a little bit, but that's all right. And now we'll take the other one. And this is, I just want a little bit of color on this background in case you see through it. This is still going to be underneath the paper, so you're not going to see it much at all. All right, now I'll take this piece of paper towel. And I reuse my paper towel over and over till I think I can't use it anymore. Thought maybe if it got wet enough, I would be able to squunch it on the page. But nope, that's not working. So I'm going to take the really wet spots off. And there's barely much there, but there's something there. I could go a lot further into detail, but I don't think I'm going to worry about it because it literally is going to be covered up. So what I'm going to do next is, so this page goes here, and I know it goes here because I've got my 2 that line up in the middle. And I'm going to decide, where do I want my first pocket? Now on this side, I want my pocket to be kind of short, my first pocket, because I don't want to interfere with my spinner. And I was able to peel that off. I had to take the spinner off, and I broke the first one. There was 4 of these spinners. I broke the first one of these, so then I made sure that I pinched the metal that was holding it. They made things to last back then. So I had to pinch the metal from the back, just pinch it all the way around and around and around till I could get it out. And then I cut it with a pair of metal cutters. But, and then this is just a brad to put it back in there. So, but I don't want to get rid of my spinner, so I'm going to cut it short. Now, there will be tags in there that may interfere with that or whatever. I just don't want to cut it super close. I want to keep it short. So I'm just going to cut this one, I think, right about here. And I think that's where we're going to cut it. So let's put a cutting mat on the table first. I'm gonna have to bump you just a bit. There we go. Okay. And again, these don't have to be straight. I'm going to do this one straight. I may do them all straight, but they don't have to be. Remember, just do them how you want. You can use your scissors even if you want to. I am going to line this up on my line. Then I'm going to come over, and I definitely don't want to do 3 inches. To me, that's too high. And 2 inches feels a little too short. So I'm going to kind of eyeball 2.5 inches. Okay, that's going to be right here. I'm going to look at, I actually think I could do 3 inches. Yep, I can do 3 inches. I was looking at this side of my ruler, how much it was in the way, but this will be all right. Let's look at a playing card and see if we were to put that in that pocket, it would stick up a little bit, but not a lot. No, we're still going to do that because by the time we glue the bottom, it'll stick up enough. I just don't want to lose our tags. So 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3 here. I'm still lined up there. Here we go. I felt that go. Okay, so there's that one. So that's going to be a pocket on the bottom. Now the next question is, am I going to do 3 straight pockets, or what am I going to do? I think that we're going to put that one in the book. And on this one, line it up straight. And I am going to cut a sliver out of this page. I'm going to come right down to the 1 inch mark. And I'm not going to cut all the way through. I'm going to leave, let's say, about 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to cut. Now this is easier with an X-Acto knife of some sort. And I'm going to go to about 1/2 inch from that corner. And I should have left my ruler right there. Let's see how it will look if I cut it from this side. I should have cut through twice. I know better than to not. If you cut through twice and you cut through the very first time, that won't hurt anything. If you don't cut through twice and you didn't cut all the way through the first time, it's hard to line it back up in the exact same spot. Okay, so now that's a little bit small, even if you're going to put tags in it. So normally what I do is, I'm just going to go right next to it here. I'm going to come down probably about, oh, I don't know, 1/8 inch or something, just a sliver. But enough of a sliver that that pocket doesn't completely close up where you can't find it, because we're going to glue above it. So, and on both edges. Okay, let's turn it over. I'm just going to break it off there. And there. Okay, so now we're going to have a pocket down here. We're going to have a pocket up there, which I'm going to glue probably right around here. So in the middle, I think we're going to have kind of like a corner tuck spot. So I'm going to cut it on an angle like this. And I'm going to cut the whole thing. Am I? Or am I going to cut another slot? No, I'm just going to cut the whole thing. So there we go. Now we're going to put this in the book. And then we'll look at the other page, just so that you get the gist of what we're doing here. And just so that I can see if it works or not, because never tried this before, so we'll figure this out. I mean, I have done these kind of slots before. I've just never split my page up quite like this. So this is going to go up here. This is going to go down here, and this is going to go over here. How high do I want it? Because this is not quite as long as my page. So I kind of want to center it. That is upside down. You guys were probably screaming at me on that one. So that one's going to go right there. That looks pretty good. We'll start by putting the big piece down. And I am going to use the Beacons 3-in-1. You don't need to use this. It grabs a little bit quicker is the only reason I'm using it, because I'm on the video and the tacky glue will take a while. So I am going to glue above this pocket so that we can slide things down in here without that being flappy. So we're going to go above the pocket. And make sure you get right up to the top so that you've got a nice sturdy page. Right along the edge. The tuck spot is going to be the angle, which I brought a little bit high, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. I probably should have made that angle so tall. Okay, so we need to go around all the edges. Now you have to be careful where you put your glue. Be very, very careful, because you want a pocket right here. So you need to make sure that now you put your glue below that pocket. So I'm going to come down to about here, to probably about 2.5 inches or something. And the rest of this is not going to be pocket, so it can be glued. But that's the thing, make sure you don't put glue up there or you cut that slice for nothing, because you won't be able to slide anything down in there. So we're going to do this. And then we're going to put it where we want it and press it down. I'm going to be fairly close to the inside fold, but not too close so that it binds when you open and shut the book. So leave a bit of a gap there. Even though I brought those two, even though I have that little money going across both pages. And now we're going to press down the top really well. Come around the edges. And where we went to the pocket, we're going to kind of press and then come down. Don't push up when you've got wet glue in there, because you don't want to push that glue up there and make your pocket smaller. So there we go. And now we have a pocket right here. So what I was talking about, that I made this a little bit tall, is that right now this pocket here is, I think my pocket comes down to right about here. So this last bit of the pocket is not going to fit as tall of an item because it gets smaller as you go. So if I would have maybe come down a little bit, but that's all right. You live and you learn. I'll wipe this off. These glues do work well if you need to do something fast. If you need it to be, I should say, if you need it to be done fast. It does work glue. It dries quickly. It grabs right away. It smells terrible. It squishes out all over the place. And if you don't put the top back on it, it will squish out because it's a chemical base, and so whatever's in there makes it, puts kind of like gas in the bottle. So I'm going to line this back up and put it back in here. I put glue down this side and down this side, so we've got a tuck pocket here. So we're going to have a pocket right there. I'm going to kind of put this in there, not to where my glue is. And I really probably shouldn't use this in case I do get glue on it, but that will just help me. It kind of will help that paper have just a little bit of a bump in it there. And again, you could take a little extra slice off this so that you've got a little extra bit. I didn't want to do that, but you could. You could make this just a little bit wider so that you actually could see the slit here also. But we're going to put empty tags in there so people will see that. And then this pocket is going to go here. And again, we're going to just do the sides and the bottom. And that page, oh, I was going to ink around the edges. Guess what? I didn't. And so let's see here. I need to make sure that I put the, all right, so this is the bottom right here. More than once I've glued the top, not the bottom. So I do try and pay attention. Doesn't always work. So I didn't edge all of the pieces as I put them in, and I'm gonna put a little inking around the edges of the cards. So, and I had thought that I would do that here to kind of give a little definition to where the pockets are, but I didn't, and I'm not going to worry about it. Whether I edge something or not really is kind of a whatever the day feels like day anyway. Sometimes I will ink around the edges, and sometimes I don't. This is a little too high. And there we go. So press down on that glue really well. Out and down so that we're not pushing it into our pocket. And so, where's that card that I did cut out? Now we have our cards, and we can put our card in here, like this. We can put our cards in here, like this. And we can put our cards up here, like this. I'm not going to push them all the way down to where the glue is because it does still need to dry. But there we go. That's how we have our pockets there. Now, if we wanted to put a little pocket in a corner or something, or wherever, we can still add them on there. But I really liked the layout of this. And like I said, once we start putting the tags in there, the layout's going to get covered anyways. But as we take the cards out, we'll see the layout, and I do like the way it turned out. So I want to leave it that way. And that's the whole thing. Just because you planned something one way, I planned to put pockets on top. Just because you planned it one way doesn't mean it has to be that way. If you get partway through and think, I don't like the way this is going, or, oh, I have a different idea, go with it. Do whatever you feel like when the day comes. Okay, so I've got a pocket here, and a pocket here, and a pocket here. So what do I want to do on this one? I think for this one, how about a pocket here, a slip pocket over here, or maybe just a regular pocket. Let's just start. Let's put one here. We'll put a slit at the top. And the reason I did the slit pocket is because if I just cut it, like I did this one where you put them right in from the top, then the cards, if I just cut this across here to make this a pocket, right here, when you're tucking things into there, they're going to stick out the top of your book. And I don't know that I want that. So if I want that, I can always put bigger cards in this one and they'll stick out the top of the book. But I don't think I want them to stick out really far. And this one, they would have to stick out above the top of the pocket so that you could get them out. So they definitely would be sticking out of the pocket. So let's look at this one. Okay. So I think maybe I will put a pocket like this. Now, if I want to put another pocket here, I have to remember, if I come way out here and try and put a pocket here, that pocket will only be straight from like right here up. The rest of it will be on an angle. So I don't want to make my pocket that much of an angle. So I'm going to come here. And I think I'm going to just say that that looks good to me. Take it nice and slow. And this is not a special X-Acto knife of any sort, so don't think you have to go buy something special. This is one that I got at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. They used to have 3 packs of the smaller ones, and when I went to get one day and I really needed one, they didn't have the 3 packs. All they had was this 1 pack. And so I got that. So it's nothing. I got it because it cost me $1. Ooh, that one didn't let loose right there. The nice things about this type of X-Acto knife is that you can, I'm going to flip this over to see if I can see where we're stuck, right there. There we go. Is that these knives have these little lines in them. What that means is when this gets really dull, especially when your point kind of breaks off, you can take a pair of pliers and you're supposed to be able to kind of line that line up with the edge of this a little bit, then take your pliers, go over the whole thing, and then give it a snap, and it will snap on that line, and you'll have a brand new blade. So you don't even have to refill the blades. Well, you can usually refill the whole thing too, but you're not refilling all the time. You just have to break off the end if it gets really dull. So that's a nice thing about that type of X-Acto knife. Okay, so this one's going to be glued in like this. We're going to have tags here. So I think I'll put a slit across the top like we did on the other side. Doesn't have to be in the same spot. I'm going to come down a little bit so that it's obvious. I'm going to look at the other one. Okay, the other one's about 1 inch. So this one I'm going to do at 2 inches. That's kind of a waste though, isn't it? Because then nothing goes under here. But that's okay, things stick over top of there. I'm going to go down 2 inches. So it's obvious they're not, that I wasn't trying to put them in the same spot. If I try and line them up, it will bother me if they don't line up. So again, leave some on the edge because this is going to be a slotted pocket. Go over it a few times till you know that you've cut through the whole thing. I'm going to flip it over so I can see it easier. And just go about 1/8 of an inch or so up, not much at all. And cut our slot. There, I think we've got it. And I just, because they're so tiny, they kind of break off fairly easy. This one's not cut all the way here. There we go. So they're so thin, I just break them off. You could try and cut it with the knife, but I'm always afraid I'm gonna like slip or something and really ruin my page. Okay, so we've got a pocket there, and we have a pocket here, and let's put a pocket over here. Do one another angle? Not really. So I'm gonna go straight across. Now the question is, do I want to do a slit or a cut? And I think I'm going to cut it right around the top of the ace there. That gives me room. You got to think about where your cards go in. They're going to go into your pocket here, but they're going to stick out here. So you don't want to get too close to this one, or they're going to stick out over top of the cards above it, unless that's the way you want it to look. So I'm going to cut it right in this area. And I'm going to just go straight across. I do want it to be fairly straight, so I'm going to line it up. And then just choose. There we go. And I'm going to come down just a little bit from that line there. And is this one going to go all the way across, or is it going to be a slot? Maybe we'll do the slot on this one also. maybe give the page a little bit more stability. I'm not sure. There we go. Let's flip it over. And cut just a little bit of a slice out of there. That one off. So now I have to think about where I'm going to be gluing this. So I'm going to grab a pencil. All right, so this is our top slot. So our top slot will be glued completely up here because nothing goes under there. We want that to stay nice and flat to the book. We want that to really be glued to the book so that as we're tucking things in here, that's not moving. So we're going to do that whole bit. Of course, we're going to do all the way down the side around the whole thing. Should make this darker to make sure you can see it. And we have to go across the bottom. Okay, again, up here. We have to glue above this slot, but not everything above this slot, or otherwise, if we were to do that, this would not be a slot anymore. So we are just going to put a line of glue above this slot, so that gives this pocket space. We have to come down again. We have to go all the way around all the edges. And now, I don't really need that pocket to be that deep, so I am going to say, we do have some bigger cards, so they can go in here. So maybe we'll come down to, oh, let's say around right here. So this is, we're going to glue here. So that's where we're going to glue. And especially when you're doing the slots, always stop and think about it first. Because I have notoriously not glued up there and glued here. And then it's like, oh man, I glued my pocket shut. I can get up there. You know, so always think about it when you're doing the slice type pockets as to where this bottom part is going to go, where that pocket's going to be. And what did I do with the glue? There it is. Grab our book back up here and we will put these pockets in. And since I didn't edge the other page, I'm not going to edge this one. I'm going to kind of lean it up on the tripod there. And this piece has to line up with this page, so that would be the piece to do first. Even if I had cut this little slice out of this part of the page, then I would want to do that first, because it does need to line up. Always do anything that needs to line up. Do that first, and then you can fit everything else in with it. Because this is easier to not pick it up. People you work kind of in areas, so that I don't get all the way to the bottom and have to pick it up to come back up here. Because this is just, it's not the easiest glue to use. Now I need to remember not to glue that pocket shut. I'll get right up to the edges on these. And because I don't want that pocket so deep, I want to go across right here. And then up this edge. And I really am super tempted to fill in that spot right there. So be careful what you're doing. I need to put the top on that. Your glue on here is not going to dry as fast as you leaving the top off of this and having a mess. Okay, so now I need to trace this down. Kind of line it up. And it grabs pretty fast, so you got to be really careful. Like, don't push it down at all until you know you've got it where you want it. That's as good as that one's going to get because that one kind of goes on an angle. There we go. So we want the whole top pressed down. We got along the edges. We have the bottom here. Press that really well. The edges here and here. Again, either straight across and up and down or away from the pocket if you want to. Again, let's see the whole top and this bottom. Here we go. So now we have a pocket there and we have a pocket there. And this one we're going to do the outside and the bottom. And it will be done. There we go. Put the top back on there. Actually, we'll probably pick up another bottle of this or a bottle of Fabri-Tac as we go through this book, just so that I can kind of get some things done while we're together. Oh, slid that up too far. I'm even kind of off the edge of the page here, so after it dries, I guess not really. So I'm just going to go across and up and down. And if I really want to, push that glue towards the outside, not the inside. And again, that will be so we can put cards right in there. So these are some really cool cards. I buy cards whenever I find them. These are fun. We might even play with these someday. This is called Pick and Draw. So it has like shapes for faces. So you pick a face shape, and then you pick a nose shape, and then you pick eyes, and the mouth, and the hair. And so, and it says that these 5 pictures were all made with exactly the same shapes. They used the same head shape, the same nose, just bigger or smaller. And they got all of those looks with just choosing one set of mouth, one nose, one eyes, one face, and one hair. So I thought that they're kind of cute. I found them in with my card stash. I actually don't even know when I got them. A long time ago. So there we go. So that's that. I am going to start cutting out my cards to put in here. And maybe I will figure out a way to maybe edge. It doesn't really need to be, because by the time you get the cards in there, you'll know where the pocket is. But so these are the cards that I did. I believe I already showed you, but remember, you can make your own lines so that your cards have lines on the back. I do like to have writing lines. That's just me, because I write really super crooked. So I did a bunch of them. Oh, look at this one. This one I may not do on the back of a card like this because it's so large, but I might do it on a half a sheet of something else. So, and that's the thing, just because I made them for this project doesn't mean that I have to use them in this project. I can use them on something else if they don't work for this project. I like the way that one turned out with the 2 different colors and straight line and wavy line. So there we go. There is our book so far. I like the way it turned out. Let's grab a few journaling cards and just put some in here. Now these are going to be like these journaling cards I might use in the regular book other places, but you know, here I'm trying to be careful not to push it down where the glue is. As soon as it's all real dry, you don't have to worry about that. I just kind of wanted to just show you. got all of these pockets here now. And I want to, the one thing I have not done yet, because I just didn't have time when I was doing them, I want to do some Monopoly money cards. You know, you got to do some of your favorite game. And that was one of my favorites. I think I liked it because it took forever. Just because. See, now we have all this room, and you know, your friends come over, they can just come in, they can pick a card, and they can turn it over, and they can write, my favorite game was Monopoly, because Monopoly took forever, and I was the youngest, nobody wanted to play with me, so if the game took a long time, everybody was playing with me. That was my childhood. So yeah, there we go. This is how it's coming along. I will just make the tags and get them in here. Probably, if I have time this week. But next week we will start on the next spread, because this one is, unless I think of something else that needs to be done, other than finishing my tags, this spread is done. And I like the way that it turned out. And again, if you want to do edging, you can do that. You don't need to. It's totally up to you. Just kind of didn't want to take away from, you know, if I edge right down the middle of the game card, yes, you see where that pocket is, but I really like the looks of, I want to see the game card. I want to see the puzzle, you know. When I take this out of here, I want to see that Scrabble game. I don't want to see that Scrabble game with a line right down the middle and another line right down the middle. So that's why I didn't want to edge my pages. So we, you know, everybody will do whatever they want to do. So, but thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. See you again next week. Bye-bye.